Hey everyone, welcome back to the newest episode of Soul Reboot. I'm your host, Alyson Charles. My next guest, I am just already feeling the emotions, really clearly feeling the vibrations and energy. He's an incredible soul. He is a third generation shaman. He is an author, an activist, a women's empowerment leader. I am feeling so moved already. I can't wait to dive right on into this interview with the incredible Shaman Durek. Hi.
Hello.
It's just such a moment for me because even though this is the first time that we have been able to physically connect and touch this lifetime.
Yes.
I've just felt your presence and your love. I could just so quickly start crying about it because, this path and this life has been interesting for me. And I just want to start by thanking you for always being there and just sending me so much love on a regular basis. You swoop in and say the things that I need to hear right when they need to be said and expressed. And so I just want to start by saying thank you.
It's an honor to serve you.
Whew. So where shall we begin? Wow. I know that you come from a lineage of shamans, so I would actually love to learn more about that.
So my grandmother is from Ghana, from West Africa.
Mm-hmm.
She was a medicine woman, as so was her father and her brother, her father's brother before him, and then lineages before that. She spent her life dedicating to women and to teaching and understanding the ways of medicine and the ways of shamanism. And then as she began to do her work as in shamanism, there was a lot of racial issues that took place and stuff like that as far as slavery and stuff was concerned. So she had to flee to Haiti. And then from Haiti, she fled to New Orleans. And from there, she started continuing her work as a medicine woman and a spiritualist. And then it was passed down to me.
And so at what point is she passed on?
My whole family is. They're all gone.
Really?
Yeah. My father was born in 1925, so you can imagine the lineage goes way back.
Ooh, and were you able to meet your grandmother?
I was able to meet my dad's mother, but my great-grandmother died before I was born.
And so can you tell me, when did you first start to understand, though, this medicine and this powerful high vibration energy that runs through your family line? When did you first start to hear about it and know?
I was about 4 years old, and I started to have visions of my ancestors. I started to go into trances. My mother, who's an amazing woman, she's Norwegian and Tuscaran Indian, and she was helping me to be able to deal with these energies that were coming up for me as a little boy. So I started to notice that there were things I was experiencing and listening to from my family at age 3 and 4, but I didn't really start coming more clearer when I was about 5 years old.
Okay. And when these activations were starting to happen, because you were so young.
Yes.
Was there any conscious understanding? Was there that deep soul knowingness at some of what was happening? Or did it really take your mom's guidance and saying you're having some shamanic initiations already and things like that?
It was my mother.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you remember some of the things that she was telling you about it?
Yes, like for instance, she would tell me that, I would see spirits all the time, and she told me that it's normal in the family to be able to have this gift, and that I would hear voices of my ancestors talking to me because they would come in my room and talk to me. And she told me that it was a part of my bloodline. And I started to have this feeling a bit about knowing things about people. And she told me that was normal, but she told me to be a kid and to play and to not to put my mind so much onto it.
Wow, yeah. And do you remember some of the things that you were feeling as these initiations and activations were happening, and then coupling that with the information your mom's providing? Were you feeling centered and at peace with starting to understand who you were?
No, I didn't feel at peace. I was scared a lot because I was constantly confronted by all types of beings. Some of them were nice and some of them were not nice.
When were you able to navigate and have the tools to, how do you know who to let in and if they
That's
enter
when my
in?
training started, when I was 11 years old.
Okay.
When my training started, the first part of our training is observation of energy, observation of movement, observation of feeling and sensitivity. And so I begin to understand that there are different types of energy forms. And I realized that when I was in school, because I was in kindergarten, I was also in elementary school, a lot of my friends, I thought everyone had this ability.
Okay.
I realized that they didn't, because I would tell them, oh, did you see this shift in energy that just brushed right past us? And everyone's like, what are you talking about? But because I was observing energy at a very young age, I can see the nuances of the subtle energy fields shifting from one plane to another plane very quickly. And also, when I was a kid, I had a situation where I was on the playground, and there was a girl, and I touched her hands, and I saw her throwing up, her hair was falling out and this stuff. So I started to scream. And at that point, I saw her dying. And so when I got sent to the principal's office, and my dad came and the family came of the little girl, and they brought everyone into the room, and they said, why were you screaming? What was going on? And I said, she's dying. Her blood is attacking her. She's dying. And I found out from her family that she has leukemia.
Wow. And the family knew that?
They knew already.
Wow.
But it wasn't something they were telling everyone in school.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so with the potency and the magnitude of what is occurring within you at such a young age, was there ever a phase in your life where you felt you wanted or needed to take a pause and to kind of communicate to your helpers in universe and say, like, can I have a little bit of a breath for a month? Or
yes.
how does that work for you?
In my later teenage years, I wanted to take a break from everything. So I decided to see if this path is really the path for me. Because when you choose the path of a shaman, it's not like you're a shaman and you're walking dogs, or you're a shaman and you have you go to college and you take other classes. Your life is a shaman, Every day you eat, sleep, and breathe being a shaman. So you cannot just, be like, okay, I'm going to go away from it. I have to, for me, it was more about being able to, how do I navigate these abilities that are waking up inside of me, because they were coming very fast, and also be able to be a normal person in society.
Yes.
So I wanted to take a break, and I went to New York, and I wanted to explore TV and modeling and all of these different things. And I did modeling, I did television, I did these things, but it was not fulfilling. Every time I was on a set or doing something, I felt this intensity to want to be there for the people. So I would
the shaman in you just
kept coming out. Yeah. So it wasn't this, my feeling of okay, I went to Alvin Ailey dance summer course. The whole time I'm helping people. I was doing a film. I did this one film. The whole time on the set, I was talking to the director, talking to the makeup artist, talking to everyone. Even when I was modeling, everyone kept calling me the spiritual model,
Yeah.
I was helping the director, helping the photographers, helping the models. It was innately a part of who I was.
Yeah. And I've found on my own shamanic path, even if I'm supposed to just be attending an event as a guest or an invitee or whatever, I'll, energetically, I'm moving energy, I'm metabolizing and processing energies in the room. And it's just when it is who you are, and when you're here on this mission to do this work, it is all encompassing. In some of the interviews, people will ask me, tell us about some of your rituals or your ceremonies. I'm like, it's my life. So I know how near and dear to your heart, and part of your huge mission here is women's empowerment. I have been wanting to ask you why.
Because in shamanism, shamans are looking at how the structure of sociology, how the connection of people come together in the most harmonious way. When there is an adaptation or an evolution of a species, you have to find the cornerstones of society that move the people forward. Women are the cornerstones of society. They have inside of them the ability to sense danger faster than men. It's even proven in nature with animals. The female animals sense threat before male animals sense threat. Because they have that about them, it's important for them to be in that position so that they can see, okay, these are the places where we should put our energy, these are the places we should not put our energy. If women are not honoring their power and being in the position that they are meant to be in as according to creation, then we are going to not be able to evolve in the way that we need to in order to continue to adapt on a planet.
Ooh, whoa. Yes. And speaking of adapting with this planet and these planetary changes, I would love to hear from you your thoughts on this shift of paradigm, this rise in consciousness. I believe that our dear great mother, Gaia, Pachamama, has never seen the likes of the transformation that we're currently undergoing. Do you feel the same from your perception? What's occurring this lifetime energetically for Gaia?
Well, Gaia is in a position right now to observe our behavior on its crust. See, Gaia will always continue to survive. But the thing is, will the human race be able to continue if we don't make changes in the way that we operate? And so what's happening right now is Gaia learns everything about us every time we drink water. The water goes into our system. Water absorbs our emotional intellect. So it has inside of it the sensory of our emotions. Once it goes back to the earth takes the water back in and learns about us. The animals eat from nature. They learn about us and they see how we're adapting. We are a species that has been living in an incorrect understanding of life. Because women have not been in the power and the position that they're in, they have not been able to teach the life code to men. To teach the life code is important. The value of life is more important than anything, any commodity or any type of necessity that people may think they have attained in life, be it finances or success or status or whatever. Value of life should be the first thing we see on this planet. And so Gaia is basically going through a transitional shift right now. We shamans, we call this the blackout period. This blackout period means that everything that humans have not acknowledged or have brought to the surface is being brought up for them to look at. So all of their fears, their prejudices, their anger, their rage, whatever it may be that has been pushed under the rug for so long is now being brought up so that they can transmute it back into love. This is what Gaia wants for us, but also at the same time, in the blackout period, the first part of the blackout period is called the cleansing. The cleansing is what we're in right now. After the cleansing, we go through the cataclysmic changes that have to occur for her to cleanse herself from all of the internal destruction that we've created for her through our constant mass production, through our need to keep taking from her resources and not replenishing them. All of these things
It's like the pain body of Earth.
Yes, exactly. So we are going through this, in shamanism, as we say, the contractions of birth, but in that contractional phase, we step into this awakening of self. So it's either we choose to realize that we cannot overthrow the planet and we begin to work with the planet, or we choose to believe that we can and we become extinct as human beings because we won't be able to survive on an earth that is polluted. You understand?
Absolutely. So speaking of this shadow reveal and pain body, I think it would be beautiful if everyone watching at home can kind of understand a human element of you. I would love to know on your personal evolutionary journey, if you feel willing to share one of your shadow aspects that you've really had to work with and try to transcend. I'd love to hear more about that.
So one of my shadow aspects that I've been constantly transcending, and it's a constant everyday experience, is maintaining humbleness and humility.
You seem so adept at that.
But it's constant. You know, it's like, yes, I am, but that's because I'm on it every day.
Yeah.
You know, and there's times where I catch myself, especially because I've become much more a shaman of the world and in media and magazines and around different, public figures and so forth. Sometimes I notice myself having to constantly push myself back into that humble space because it's like a magnet. It wants to pull you out and set you apart. And I don't want to be set apart from the people.
Yes.
I want to always let people know I don't walk in front of you, I walk with you. And so in order to do that, it's a constant thing for me to embrace more and more. Where am I not being humble? Where am I not accepting humility? Where am I not letting myself be open to this experience? And it's, for me, I am grateful to be able to experience it over and over again. because this world makes you want to pull yourself out of that place.
For sure.
And then I have to go, no, this is not who I am. I have to go back into that energy.
Yeah, it's like those portals and those realms that we know are the truth. And then all the gravitational and magnetizing forces that want to go, the egoic things and all that stuff out here. And then it's like, no, like recenter, this is my portal over here. And then plopping back into that portal.
Yes.
Wow. So before we wrap things up, I know that your journey has just taken you all over the planet, but you've also experienced some things that not many people have experienced, like you passed away and came back to life.
When I was 28.
Can you touch upon that a bit?
Of course. I was in the Belize jungle working with this medicine woman on this island called Tobacco Keys. Also, it was in the jungle, in Jaguar jungle, working with 2 shamans. I always knew that my rites of passage, being a spirit shaman, that I had to go through some form of transitional death. I just never assumed that it would be a physical death. And then finally, you know, Lakotas were telling me, like, you're going to die. Like, everyone was telling me, you know, you're physically going to die. And
were you scared when you heard that?
not scared, but curious, you know,
Yeah.
open, wanting to think, is this a spiritual death or is this really a physical death? And then when I came back from the jungle, I woke up one morning and there was this being standing in front of me and it said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yes." And it reached into my body and I fell down, started crawling on the floor. And I got to my friend, to the phone and called my friend, Marcus, and he came and he got me and he put me in the truck. And within like a minute of being in the truck, I had a seizure, smashed my head into his dashboard, had another seizure, woke up in the ambulance. The ambulance said to me, you know, "You've had 7 rolling seizures. We're getting you to the hospital as quick as we can." Took me to the hospital. And as I got to the hospital, everything went like very bright. And there was this woman. And she said to me, "Don't fight so much what's going to happen, because then you will go through more suffering. Just let go." So I said, "When is going to happen?" She said, "Within a couple of minutes." So I looked at my friend and I said, "I need to let you know I'm going to die." And he said, "You're going to die?" He goes, "No, you're not. I'm going to get someone to help." And I said, "Don't leave me, because I don't want to die alone." And I was really scared about dying alone. I felt very fearful about it. So he stayed with me, held my hand, and I went into seizure. And then I started feeling knives stabbing me all over my body. My lungs collapsed. I couldn't breathe. I was hitting my throat. The doctors came. They were trying to get some oxygen into my body. They couldn't get the oxygen into my body. My body started like going through major shocks and shaking. And then I kept hearing this voice say, "Beloved child, let go, let go." And so I let go. And I let go. And I remember the room and everything was like being on the bottom of a swimming pool. Like when you look up and you see the lights through the water,
Yeah.
Everything looked like that. And my grandmother was there, my aunt was there. They told me that I had transitioned. I could hear everyone talking in the hospital. I could see my friends screaming and crying. I could hear the doctors doing everything they can. All of a sudden, they said to me that you're going to go through this next part. You're not going to be alone, but you have to go through this next part. It's your choice what you need to do. All of a sudden, I was like in this black ocean, swishing around, and I realized that I was inside of my mother's womb, and I was watching my mother give birth to me. And then I saw every choice I've ever made from the time that I was born, every person that I ever got into an argument with, how it affected them, all the way up to the point of me dying. And I had a choice to I saw everything clear. There was no mirrors, there was no filters. It was just like, this is what you lived. This is how you lived. This is how you affected people. And I just loved it. I let it all go. I just let go of it. And all of a sudden everything turned into this white golden light. It was very, very bright. And I knew I was home. And I was on a beach and there were like these other beings and everything was beautiful. There was like mountains and oceans and beautiful nature everywhere. It was just so beautiful. And this woman came up to me and she said, I know you have questions, but before you ask these questions, would you like a body? And I said, I want the body that I was before. And I saw all of a sudden my hands appeared, but I had no bones. And I felt everything was like warm and beautiful and like the best feeling you could ever imagine. And I remember looking up at the sky and it had this beautiful tone. And she said, you have questions? And I said, yes. And I said, why do people suffer? Why do people go through war? Why do they have pain? Why do they go through these things? I asked every question you can imagine about being a human on earth, and they all said the same thing: malfunction in thinking.
Malfunction in thinking.
Malfunction in thinking.
Okay.
And I said, malfunction in thinking, and they said, yes, every human being, every time they talk, every time they think, they're creating. And that creation is just a creator. It just creates. So whatever people choose to believe, it gets created. And if they were to think correctly towards themselves, towards love, loving themselves, loving each other, the thinking would be in harmony and things would be different on earth.
Wow.
And then I went to see my family. I got to go to visit friends who passed away. I got to learn so much about life and what this is, why we're here. I found out that the reason why we're on earth is not just to have an earth life, that we're here to bring light to this part of the universe. This is considered a dark realm. And, we've come to bring light into the darkness. And in order to do so, we have to love beyond fear. We have to love beyond pain. We have to love beyond labels. We have to love beyond everything that humans have created not to love.
All the conditions.
All the conditions. And it was beautiful. I mean, I can tell you so many things I got to experience there, but it would be a very long time. But then they asked me if I wanted to go back. And I said, I do. I want to go back. And they asked me, do you want your memories of this place? And I said, I do.
Wow.
And I remember going back through with other beings. I wasn't by myself, with other beings who were coming back. And we were going through space. I remember seeing other planets, and I remember seeing Earth and its beauty, and came back into the hospital. I was inside my body. I could feel them shocking my body. I could feel this intense adrenaline rush in my system, like someone had shocked me and put some kind of weird liquid in me. And I remember coming out of it, and the doctor told me I was paralyzed. And then I was like, they had to induce me in a coma. And I remember waking up out of my coma. I had restraints on. That's why I have this mark on my hand right here, because they put leather straps. And I was in a coma for 2 months. I was paralyzed. I had liver failure, kidney failure. My lungs were collapsed. I was on life support. And they were like, you keep crashing. We keep pulling you back. And then the spirit came in and said, if you want to stay here, I'll help you heal yourself. I'll show you how to do it.
Wow.
And I ended up healing my brain damage. I ended up healing my liver. I ended up healing my ability to heal my lungs. But I didn't heal my kidneys, and I didn't heal my legs. So I was in a wheelchair for a while. And then I healed my legs. And then I was on dialysis for 10 years.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then my sister gave me a kidney. She said a spirit came to her one night. She said it was like an angel. The room got really bright, and she said it like freaked her out and told her, you have to give your brother a kidney. And then after that, I went immediately to Turkey and started going there because I saw a vision of a group coming to take over Turkey and wanting to create war with the world.
So you knew you were needed there.
So yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course.
Wow. I was tracking right with you and felt like I was seeing some of the places that you were going, and it doesn't get much more powerful than that, that's for sure. So speaking of that unconditional love, that is the whole point for us being here and a lot of what you practice and teach, is there something you can guide us all through today that can open us more up to unconditional love?
Yes. So one of the things is that most human beings, they have this belief that they're not loved, or they don't experience love because they look for love as a way to get it from someone or get it from being liked or having some validation of some sort. However, love is always here. It's always present. So one of the things you can do is you just basically put your hand on your heart right? And you put your hand on your heart, and then you say, I pull in unconditional love into my body.
I pull in unconditional love into my body.
And then you breathe, inhale and exhale. Good. Now you say, activate unconditional love into my awareness.
Activate unconditional love into my awareness.
Good. And then say, increase unconditional love into my being now.
Increase unconditional love into my being now.
And breathe, because the breath is a bridge to all living things. Good. And then say, I increase it to 100.
I increase it to 100.
Good. And then say, I increase it to 200.
I increase it to 200. I feel like I'm on an unconditional love shamanic game show.
And can you feel the energy in your body?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm getting more elated.
Uh-huh. And then say, I increase it to 300 and feel it even deeper.
I increase it to 300.
Good. And then increase to 400.
I increase to 400.
And then increase to 500.
I increase to 500, please.
You don't have to beg to spirit. So you just ask and then you get.
I increase to 500.
There you go. And then 600.
I increase to 600.
And then 700.
I increase to 700.
And then 800.
I increase to 800.
And 900.
I increase to 900.
And 1,000.
I increase to 1,000.
And now that you're at 1,000, say, I spread it all over my body so I can feel it.
I spread it all over my body so I feel it.
Good. And then into my consciousness,
And into my consciousness.
into my unconsciousness,
Into my unconsciousness.
into my subconsciousness,
Into my subconsciousness.
and into my super subconsciousness.
And into my super subconsciousness.
Good. And do you see how that's spreading all over?
Yes, I totally do.
This is a great technique.
And I heard them when we ended, I heard them say, all systems go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to serve you.
Wow. I truly could hear from you, learn from you, share this beautiful space with you for lifetimes. I hope that you will come back. I feel that there's just so much more to talk about and to share with everyone. Before we go, please let everyone know where they can find you and what you have coming up next.
You can find me at shamandurek.com or on Instagram at Shaman Durek, Facebook Shaman Durek, and Twitter Shaman Durek. And I have also a podcast that I've started that is now launching, and it's called Ancient Wisdom Today.
Yes.
And it's going to be really great. We have amazing, our first show we have is Leanne Rhymes, and we have amazing people coming on the show, Kelly Rutherford. We have Bonnie Wright who played in Harry Potter as Ginny Weasley. We have great talks about shamanism and spirit and how to build your power and how to put the power back in people's hands.
I love it. That's what it's all about. Thank you for doing all the work that you do for planet Earth and humans and all of the universe.
Thank you.
And I love you.
I love you too.